Greetings, Moralis developers and Moralis mages. We are here with Mark with Avalaunch, who's going to talk about his launch platform and how you can get involved with that as a developer. Mark, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here. The live stuff's really fun.
Yes, we love how we have all these live streams back to back during the hackathon. It's great for building excitement and keeping everybody developing their awesome projects.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, excited for it.
So if you can just share your screen with us a little bit, we'll dive right into it and start taking a look at the platform. Now, we were talking a little bit before we started the stream about a few different aspects of the protocol, and we also want to dive as deep as we can in the next 40 minutes or so on how developers can use the platform in their development.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Okay. Yeah, sure. Let me just pull up the site here. So can you guys see my screen okay?
There we are.
Okay. So yeah, so Avalaunch is at its core a launch pad, and I think everyone's pretty familiar with the concept. But we focus on a couple of unique things I think that are important for this process. With Avalaunch, we really want to help strong teams who are interested in not just community building and getting their projects in front of good people and users, but the broad distribution of the tokens at sale. So it's very, very important to us that we have a lot of people participate in these sales, and it isn't, let's say, a constricted event. So we, unlike some other launch pads, we don't do $100,000, $200,000 raises. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but it just doesn't allow a lot of room for a lot of people to participate. And this is one of the things that we think is important when you are trying to take your project to market and get these tokens out. Decentralization of that token is critical, right? And you also want to make sure that no one holds too much of it. And so with Avalaunch, we try and relieve that burden from teams because it's a very, very tricky process, figuring out the best way to distribute these tokens fairly and early and offer the community, your users, the opportunity, the early opportunity to participate and get the token at a better price and be invested in the project. And this is one of the things that kind of informs all of the features of the platform, and we have built toward these, let's just say, ideals. So with Avalaunch, there are a couple of things that are interesting about it. There's no minimums, but there are maximums in terms of your allocation. So when you want to participate in an Avalaunch sale, there are actually 2 rounds. The first round is for Avalaunch validators. And so we just completed a sale this morning. I'm sorry, it listed this morning and we completed it about a day ago. And that was a game called Imperium Empires. And with these sales, they run over a long period of time. So this isn't the case where the sale opens and 25 seconds later, excuse me, it's sold out and only a small amount of people get in. We like to make these events exciting for sure, but we don't make them exciting through sort of this artificial constriction and scarcity. We make the project exciting by working with exciting projects and good teams and marketing these events well. But then we also want to make sure that a lot of people participate. And so when the registration starts, If you are an Avalaunch validator, so if you're running a validator on the Avalaunch network, you can come to our application, our KYC application, and verify that you own a node and show up and register for the sales. And if you do that, you're offered a guaranteed allocation in the sale. What the allocation will be determined when the sale begins, but you will get something. You don't need to hold any of our token, the XAVA token. You just need to run a node and participate, and you'll be included. The second round is a staking round, and so this is the round. It's the lion's share of the sale, I would say, where you do need to hold some amount of our token, right, to signal that you are part of our community. But there's no minimum. So if you have $5, $10, and we have plenty of users that have that amount of money, where they wouldn't be a user on another launchpad, let's say. You can participate in the sale. And so all that requires of you is coming to our, first signing up in KYC, and that's a separate application that's on this site, but we won't go through that because it's pretty straightforward. But you just come to our staking application and stake your tokens. So right now we have $191 million of Zeva here in the platform, just sitting here waiting for IDOs. Now, the interesting part about Avalaunch is it is a little bit like a DeFi application more than a launchpad, or let's just say it's both. And what I mean by that is this is essentially a single-sided staking pool. So you have Zeva and you can stick it in here. You don't need the KYC. You don't need to care about our IDOs to come to this pool, stake, and earn directly off the growth of the platform. So when when someone's coming in and staking and they're diluting current stakers, right? We take at this point a 2% fee paid in Zeva, and that is distributed to everyone in the pool that was here before you, right? We don't retain that or anything. There's also fees that happen around claiming allocations of the sales and exiting within a certain period after the sales. And so all of these fees paid out, and the current APY is about 6%. These are like non-inflationary rewards. These are rewards generated by the platform, and they are changing hands essentially from new people to old people, and let's just say less committed people to more committed people. And so in that way, as Avalaunch gets bigger and we do bigger sales, and the network gets more popular, and it can accommodate more activity, right? Your yield, your potential to earn grows, and as that grows, and you earn more Zeva, your allocations in the sale get bigger as well. And so it's a pretty unique mechanism. Since we opened this pool 5 months ago or so, we've redistributed, right? We haven't printed and given. We've redistributed, $8.8 million worth of Zeva to people. So if you've just been sitting in this pool since the beginning, you're the direct recipient of that Zeva. And so it's a way to not just take these projects to market, but it's a way to give users exposure to the entire ecosystem, because we work with some great projects, great new projects. And so if you're staking in this pool, whether you're a part of the IDOs or not, that's just kind of an added benefit. And obviously, a lot of people do participate in the IDOs, but you don't have to, right? To experience the community, experience the growth, there's something kind of here for everyone. And so when the IDOs do come along, we do about 4 of them a month at this point. Sometimes a little less, just depending. If you're in this pool, like you register, you too have a guaranteed allocation in this sale. And so there's a real inclusion here that I think is important. No one's too small. And if you're too big, you actually won't get what you should get, because we offer these guaranteed allocations and anybody can participate. So if a guy has $4 million, let's say, of our token and he's staking in this contract, and we have plenty of users that do, they're going to get a nice allocation, but they're not going to get what they should have gotten, let's say, if we distributed it proportionally or linearly. We actually clip them pretty aggressively, right? Because 1, we don't want one person having too much of this sale, and 2, we want more people to be able to participate. So we take really what they should have gotten, and we distribute it down lower. And so this distribution actually ends up looking like the less you stake, the more allocation per dollar you get. And it's a little counterintuitive, but what it allows to have happen is everyone gets to participate. Everyone gets a decent allocation. And if you're a big Zava staker, right, you can sit in this pool and you'll earn your appropriate share of these rewards. That's fine. But we don't want any one person, just because they have a lot of money, dominating these sales and compromising the distribution of these tokens, because that's really what this platform is designed to achieve. So beyond the staking pool, when we have a sale running, and we don't right now, so it would be difficult to show you exactly, although we can get pretty close here. Everything happens here. You come, you register here, you put your allocation here, and this progress bar, let's say, is updating in real time. And once you have your allocation, everything will be displayed here. And we also have an accounts page here for your historical participation. And one of the things that's unique about Avalaunch is, we have a very, very strong development team, and we think a lot about this experience. And there's a lot of information available to a user, on-chain information about their historical participation, presented in a very digestible way. And if you came to this screen, you have participated in a number of sales. You'd be able to claim your vested portions and see where you participated in, and see what you got and how much you paid. And it's kind of like an all-in-one platform, for more like a financial platform for these kinds of events, instead of just hit it and quit it, gone in 60 seconds, hope you got in, but you probably didn't, kind of thing. We really wanted to try and solve for that with the platform, and create an experience that was measured and thoughtful and slow, really, quite frankly, because everything in crypto moves too fast. And so we want this to be for very experienced people, but we also want this to be for people that are new to crypto. And we have lots of people that are new to crypto, because participating in these sales, particularly through this platform, is kind of like a DeFi crash course all in one. And that, you need to know how to set up a MetaMask, you need to figure out what staking means, what yield is, signing transactions, and then you get to kind of experience the excitement of an early crypto project, and what that upside might look like, and being a part of a community. It's just kind of a nice, polished experience to get all of the fun and nitty gritty of crypto in one place. And so we're pretty proud of what we've built here, and we're always looking to make it better. And so with the Moralis hackathon and bounty, would you like me to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, please. That was going to be my first question, is
Okay.
How can developers integrate with the software in order to be eligible for the prize?
Right. So there is, I guess, two things to consider. There's no APIs or anything like that currently with the platform that someone can hook into directly. Now, all of our contracts are, all of this is open source, audited. Anything that's going on here outside of the front end and a lot of the back end, you can check out and interact with. For the Moralis bounty, because that is a limiting factor. For the Moralis bounty, we wanted to create something that was A, useful for the platform, but B, that if someone wrote some contracts or even came a little ways with the front end, we would be able to work with them and our team to get this integrated into the platform. And so the idea behind the bounty was to create something that someone could work with as an idea independently, right? And still be driving towards something useful and productive. So the thrust of the bounty is this. When we run IDOs, a lot of times these tokens are vested. Sometimes they're 100% unlocked, right? That happens maybe 30% of the time. But a lot of times, because we do large IDOs, and these are serious projects, there is a vesting schedule. So you might get a little upfront, and then as those tokens unlock, you can come back to our platform and claim them. And this is all in our dashboards and things like that. This is a feature that we are able to offer teams that need this kind of vesting. So while those tokens are vested, they're just sitting there. You can look at them, you have them, but you can't claim them. So we thought it would be interesting for smart guys like the people participating in the hackathon to start to think about what is possible with vested tokens to at least give them some kind of utility while they are sitting there, right? Because you can't do anything with them now. So anything above and beyond that would be of real benefit. A couple of the ideas that we had put forward in like the bounty description was something like, farming with these vested tokens. And what that would look like is, this would need to happen on our platform only. And the team who was launching would also need to be interested in doing this. And I know that many of them would be. And so if you could create some kind of farming rewards pool, right, that the rewards, the yield on that was provided by the team, sort of like a thank you from ecosystem or wherever the rewards are coming from. And we could deploy a farm along with this vesting dashboard that gave users the ability to come and stake, right, their vested tokens, which most users probably would because they can't do anything with them until they're unlocked, and earn a yield on them while they're vested. And this would give people a way to stay engaged with tokens that they can't do anything else with. And what might be kind of interesting and cool here is as these tokens unlock, let's say, and you don't claim them, because now you have the ability to, and you don't, right? Your earning power, your yield, your multiplier on these vested tokens increases. And now you're moving away from something that's just like, well, you should do something with them because you can't, to you have options now and you're doing one thing instead of the other, and that should be rewarded. Now, this is just kind of like, some of the thinking that we have on this. One of the other things that we thought about was like a OTC sort of peer-to-peer market for these vested portions. So what that would look like is, say you have 12 vested portions of a token and you're not getting your last one for 6 months, let's say 9 months, whatever. If you had the ability to say, okay, well, I want these ones up front, and I think this project is probably going to do well, and other people are going to be attracted to this, let's say, opportunity 6 months from now. I want to take my last vested portion, create an NFT out of it or something comparable, and be able to trade it with someone else. And ownership of that NFT would confer rights to that vested portion. And so that would look like not just the ability to take that vested portion and translate it into something else, but then the ability to actually put it on a secondary market on Avalaunch or otherwise, and buy and sell it and come back to our platform with that NFT and be able to claim that last portion. And that creates kind of an interesting secondary market dynamic for good projects, for people that maybe don't or can't want to wait for that last vested portion. And there's another user that doesn't mind, right, and wants the opportunity to maybe get it at a discount because it's further out, which would be appropriate, and invest in that project early, having missed the IDO while still getting a discount. And then they're, maybe a part of that community earlier and emotionally and otherwise invested in that community earlier through this mechanism. And so these were just some of the ideas that we had thought about, and we're pretty open. But I think the adding utility to those vested tokens is kind of at the heart of this. And I think you guys can see that there's some interesting ideas that start to form just around that concept. And so when it comes to the Moralis bounty, we're pretty flexible, right? Because we don't know everything, and we want to be able to turn good minds loose on this stuff, and whatever comes out of it, and provided it's it's good, right? We're happy to work with whatever team does that to make sure that this is integrated into the platform in a way that's good for users.
Amazing. I love your suggestions there about it almost sounds like if we could accomplish this with the vested tokens, it would in many ways resemble the pancake swap, syrup pools, and then also quick swap, dragon syrup pools. If you're familiar with those, it's where you're taking, in that case, a staked asset, depositing it, to earn an outside asset that's through a partnership with a different token. And those are, of course, very exciting and have shown great success. And I think that would be a very cool addition to the platform. The other one you were suggesting sounds a lot like a futures option almost, which is also exciting in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen other projects do similar things, and even like the focus on this, these forward-thinking, peer-to-peer trading. I think it's an interesting idea as a supplement to the platform itself. It's never been something I've been too excited about as a standalone. But now that we have this really robust platform that really supports teams in a strong way, now it's time to look at, okay, what are the add-ons here that can make this even better?
Absolutely, and that's very exciting. I hope that it really, both of those ideas would be amazing if we saw examples from the hackathon.
Yeah, I think so too.
A little bit separate question to do with the projects that we see on the platform. What is your vetting process like for those projects? Is there anything more you can tell us about what projects have to do to qualify in order to be featured on Avalaunch?
Yeah, sure. So there is no, I would say, recipe. We are Avalaunch, and we focus exclusively on Avalanche, and we work with projects that are deploying cross-chain, right? But in order to be eligible, or it's not even an eligibility thing, it's just to make sense, because our focus is here. They need to be, focusing on Avalanche. So that would be number one, right? Two, we do larger sales because we have this big community, and we offer guaranteed allocations. So as you can see on the totals raised here, as we've gotten bigger, the IDOs have gotten bigger, and that's just because we want to be able to service more people. But beyond that, because those are kind of like the deal breakers a little bit. Beyond that, we just like working with good people with good ideas and good teams. All of these IDOs that you see here, these are the end result of a pretty long, lengthy collaboration and working relationship. We've never done an IDO that has approached us 2 weeks before the IDO and said, "Hey, we're ready to go. Can you do this for us?" It's just the wrong fit. We like to get stuff a little earlier, so we can have an opportunity to transmit our value, which is the community building stuff, which is our network in Avalanche, which is helping people get known and integrated here into this community, which really always creates a more successful event. And you just can't accomplish that in 2 weeks. And we like to understand the project very, very deeply, produce a lot of content around the project, and that takes time too. So there, you can see here, it's varied. We have games, we have DeFi protocols, we have NFT marketplaces. There's a decentralized VC initiative here. There's some cross-chain liquidity provision stuff. And so, there's no thesis here around what you need to be building and why. If it's relevant to Avalanche, and this stuff is still young and it's changing, and the landscape is what feels important is changing day to day. And so our job as Avalaunch is to make sure that we're bringing relevant projects to the community that they're excited about, right? But also teams and people that are going to be here for a long time, and that we can collaborate with. And that really is the most important thing, because this event, I don't know how it looks from the outside, but it's hard and it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of landmines, let's say, from the earliest days of the project right through the IDO and beyond. And so we take a lot of responsibility for that, because ultimately when this thing launches on Avalaunch and goes on, anything that goes right or wrong, we are intrinsically linked to in some way, whether we like it or not. And so we like to just work very closely so we can understand what we're getting ourselves into and help. And so, when we're talking to teams, when we're looking at teams, obviously it's about the viability of the product, let's say. But it really is about where they're at, and we like to get teams earlier. Sometimes it's too early, but that's worth working with too. but really focusing on how they can integrate themselves into the community here. Like, they have to be interested in that, because one, again, that's our value, and two, the Avalaunch ecosystem really rewards that. There's a real ROI on that, and so some teams aren't so interested in that. Like, it's not that they don't care, they're bad people, just people's priorities are in different places, and that's one of the things we look for, because it's one of the things our community expects of us. It's one of the things that our ecosystem brothers and sisters expect from us, and it's just the kind of work we want to do. And so it's like a pretty qualitative process outside of like some real technical and due diligence and background on people, let's say. But that's kind of almost the easy stuff, really, because it's not hard to identify good technology and people that are serious about building it. That's pretty easy. The harder part here is, who do they want to be inside of Avalanche? How much do they want to participate in the kind of things that us as Avalaunch and our friends and family in the ecosystem have done for a long time now. And it is attractive to a lot of teams because it creates a successful launch and bodes well for the future for them, I think. But a lot of teams don't necessarily expect that to be such an important part of the process. But that's, I think, why we're a little different, is we focus on that real complete picture. We really care about what you're gonna do after you launch.
That's awesome. It's great to see that level of vetting prior to the launch sale. I think that the too quick to accept projects could be a pitfall in other cases, and you guys are definitely doing your due diligence to avoid that, which is appreciated. Since we're looking at them right now, did you want to share any other details on recent launches that you've had? Any that stand out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, we are really proud of everything that we've put out here, and we've worked really, really hard to get good stuff on the platform. The stuff we've done really recently is probably just most relevant because it's timely. But Imperium Empires, this is a very, very cool like space metaverse, like AAA type gaming effort. And Avalanche as a game chain, let's say, is becoming like more of a reality. Really, I'm seeing a lot of really, really strong game developers from traditional game development come to Avalanche. One, because it's possible to build their games here, but two, because they really like the community and the professionalism of the ecosystem. It's like fun, crazy, because you'll never get away from that in crypto. But there's also an element that feels really good as a professional to build and work here and do good work and then just let people enjoy it. And so we're seeing a lot of really strong gaming efforts come recently. And of course, gaming is just increasingly more popular in crypto. So IME, I think, is a really, really strong effort with a really, really strong team. The Platypus here is another project that I really, really liked. It's a let's just say a curve competitor. It's a more efficient, stable swap. And I encourage anyone that sounds interesting to go check out their white paper and their yellow paper and their medium, because it's really fascinating stuff. But this is an Avalanche native team who sees the things about Avalanche like in the way that I'm talking about, much the same way. And so we're really excited about supporting stuff like that, because what it looks like to me is Avalanche as an ecosystem over time, starting to develop its like own story and own DeFi roots. And we never know where that's going to go or what that's going to look like, and that's an exciting thing. And so instead of bringing over just like one for one forks from other ecosystems or whatever, Avalanche has been around long enough to have people to sit in the community, in the ecosystem, and innovate and build. And Platypus is a result of that, and that's why it excites me so much, because it's just kind of thematically very, very cool. I'll just go over Colony real quick. Colony is another project that we worked with very, very closely for a long time, a lot of months. We know that team very well. And Colony is a decentralized VC initiative, let's say, that returns the value of these early investments back to token holders. And so what's very cool about this, at least thematically with Colony and Avalaunch, is we really try and offer a better public sale experience to the retail by bringing better projects, better allocations, better pricing, and just more exposure to the type of experience that a VC investor gets. Their VCs are, I guess, hot deals, let's say, get competitive, but a VC investor isn't having to, rush and slam a button to get their allocation. And so we try and afford our community that experience. But with Colony, they are placing money from a fund that was raised from the community and doing it in a way that lets their token holders have access to like people and network that not everyone has access to. Like, let's just face it. And so a way to solve that is to let Colony kind of do the hard work, right, of the VC, which not everyone's capable of doing, and letting the token holder in the community reap the rewards of that. So between Colony and Avalaunch, it's kind of like this end-to-end thing that brings retail into the parts of this process and deal that they just historically haven't had access to because no one's wanted to give it to them. So we're trying to like break this open as much as we can, and it's a process to allow opportunities to people that are new and that they should have access to, and that there's plenty of room for them in. Just no one's bothered to try and include them before.
Thank you so much for talking about those. I love that you're prepared to justify the choices on the Avalaunch platform, because I think that that's so important. It's always more encouraging to get involved with a protocol that also believes in their partners and things like that, and that's wonderful.
For sure.
I wanted to give you an opportunity, Mark, to share any other details that you had right before we take questions, and I'm open to questions on anything we've discussed here or any other area of Avalaunch.
Yeah, just throw them at me. I'm happy to talk about anything. Nothing else I want to add. I would just, if anyone has any questions about it, come to our Telegram. It's very active. It's very well moderated. We're all in there, and you can talk to us directly.
Wonderful. Well, while we're waiting for more questions here, everybody, we are in the second week of the hackathon. We are continuing to hold hackathon work together brief events where everybody is welcome from the hackathon, participants, sponsors, anybody who wants to come, and those the details on that are available in the regular schedule, which you can find on the main hackathon website. Grab a link for that real quick here for anybody who is missing it, maybe joining us from YouTube. So how long has Avalaunch been in production? When was your first token sale?
So this is kind of interesting, actually, because our first token sale, our first IDO was in September. But we have been, our token was sold in May of this year, and we were live and community building at the end of last year. And so, the end of last year looked very, very different in Avalaunch than it does today. It was a community that attracted us, which is why we came here, but there wasn't quite as much activity as there is today. There were some bottlenecks, and it was young. And it's still young, right? But we knew that we wanted to just be here and build here no matter what it looked like or how long it took. And so community building, being a visible part of the community for months and months and months and months, with a token trading, mind you, without doing IDOs, which is purportedly like our value, which I don't think is true, but you would be forgiven for thinking that, was hard, right? Because it's like, how do you stay relevant as a launch pad without doing launches? And that's a challenge and an opportunity, because if you can achieve that and you can find ways to be important and be relevant and contribute without just saying, hey, we're here, give us money, you have the opportunity to show people what you're about. and earn, I think, some trust and authenticity, which is very, very important around fundraising. And so in those earliest months, we worked with a lot of other projects, collaborated, consulted, advised, whatever. We were just in it day to day, like hour after hour for months and months and months, with nothing to do except be a part of and contribute. And for a launch pad, it's very, very unique. I don't know that there's never another launch pad that's ever done that. But again, we kind of welcomed that opportunity because we really enjoyed it. Like, we just liked it. We liked the people here. We liked the ecosystem. And so it was fun. And at the same time, it was a real benefit to the brand and business in that, again, we had that opportunity to demonstrate over time kind of who we were and what we were about before we actually started doing IDOs. So we've been live for a long time. We've been doing IDOs since September, and we've done 10 of them now.
Amazing. That's awesome. And so with the hackathon and everything going on, will there be additional IDOs popping up in the next month, even while we're still in the hackathon? I assume so. I just
yeah, definitely. We just did our last IDO for December. We have kind of a little sort of surprise plan for our community at the end of the month here. That's, I think, another thing you might learn about us. We're just always looking to kind of do fun, different things to reward our users. And then as soon as we get into January, we're back at it. So there will be lots of events happening throughout the course of the hackathon. As long as there's good teams and good people, we're going to be supporting them. And so, we're not slowing down here. That's for sure.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate your time so much, Mark. And I do want to see if we do get any last questions here. But other than that, we're getting close to the 40-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first hackathon that that Avalaunch has been a part of since you started as recently as September, or was there another one prior to this?
Well, yes and no. So we've contributed prize money to other hackathons, to other Avalanche focused hackathons to support the ecosystem. We really want good people here, but this is the first hackathon, and we are really excited about it, where there's been an Avalaunch specific bounty in the hackathon. People are working towards something that could potentially benefit Avalaunch. This is our first experience with that. And it's something we're really jazzed about.
Amazing. So it looks like we got one question here, a couple actually. Are there any common issues that you run into when launching an IDO for you or for the project? Any common obstacles that you need to overcome when setting up that coin launch relationship?
Yeah, for sure. And the magic of this, I would say, is the community and the user doesn't need to know about it, right? And so they never see it. But just contextually, our sales are big, and the tokenomics around projects are hard. And so a lot of the process in the earliest days is understanding and designing the tokenomics in a way that are going to support the project a long time into the future, and also accommodate a lot for the public. And that's not an easy problem. So, and people aren't necessarily used to doing that. They're open to it. They like it, right? But how you actually achieve and design that is tricky. And so we spent a lot of time with teams working through that problem. Is how do we design this stuff in a way that's going to support an Avalaunch IDO, but ultimately just support you guys long term. And sometimes they look like that, sometimes they don't. And it's really it's always a process. But I would say that's the most common thing, is how do we make this work? And everyone likes that because it's always in service of a better launch, more community, more users actually participating in the opportunity. And they maybe weren't thinking about it until they were presented with the option of Avalaunch, which gave them the platform to do that.
Next question here has to do with, it's more of a general Avalanche question.
Sure.
Now, I'll say first that there are a lot of technological aspects to Avalaunch, which make it both exciting from a user perspective and from a development perspective. But I do want to turn this question over to Mark, so maybe he can say more specifically why he likes it.
Why I like Avalaunch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I've been in crypto a long time. And my first experience with really working and building and working on teams in crypto was Ethereum. And I was really drawn to that community and that experience and that excitement around what was possible here. And I saw something similar in Avalaunch, you know, not exactly the same, but it's a convenient comparison, I would say. And the reason people were so excited about it in the way that they were excited about Ethereum, and I think you don't necessarily see in other ecosystems, is because there's real innovation happening here, like real kind of breakthroughs that just might work, you know. And that is something that is not just exciting for the crypto industry as a whole, but becomes a very exciting place to be and work and build. Because they've actually managed that the consensus and the team has actually managed to push this stuff beyond now and let it test and be in the wild. And that's just an exciting part of history to be you know, contributing to, I think. And so, you know, with Avalaunch running the EVM, it makes it very easy for people that might be stuck, let's say, other places, to come here and start building and experience the cheaper fees, you know, experience what might be possible with subnets down the road, and then also get to experience the community and what it feels like to be and build here. And it's very warm, all things considered. I mean, crypto still gets pretty crazy, but it's very warm, right? And it again rewards collaboration. And so for any builder, it feels like a great place to be for all of these reasons.
Absolutely. And of course, I agree with that. I think that we have a lot of performance and cost gains with Avalaunch, and those, to experience those, you just need to try it out for yourself.
For sure. And you'll see it very quickly. Like, it will become very obvious very quickly, especially if you're coming from other ecosystems.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about Avalaunch. I certainly learned some things today, and I hope everybody else did too. We're excited to see what projects build something with Avalaunch and what they can bring to the table.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us. Thanks for including us in this hackathon. Thank you for everyone listening and that will be contributing. We're really excited about it.
All right. Well, have a great day, Mark.
Thanks, Phil. You too.